Hey guys, welcome back to Wildhood Diaries. We just finished recording an exciting conversation with Kiyan Mugaseth, who's currently working as a naturalist at one of the properties in Kanha Tiger Reserve. He's also a fellow content creator, so we had a lot to take back from this conversation. We've divided the video into three parts, and here's the first part. Oh, and before we get into it, make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss any of our videos. So, to our viewers, Kiyan is a wildlife photographer from Mumbai. He's now a naturalist in Kanha National Park. So, let's hear from him. Kiyan, you can introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about your journey. You can start from the beginning.
Thank you. I'm Kiyan Mugaseth. I'm a Parsi. I'm from Mumbai, born and raised. And I've always loved animals. But in 2016, my parents made the biggest mistake of their life. They took me on safari, and I'd
Mm.
never been on safari before. And I always thought this whole safari concept was only in Africa. So when they
Uh,
took me to Tadoba, on our first safari itself, we got the most brilliant tiger sighting, the one that all photographers crave, the head-on.
correct.
And this beautiful tigress T12 Maya. So she walked head on. It was a very beautiful sighting. And then ever since then, I fell in love with tigers, but I also fell in love with Indian wildlife in general. On that trip itself, I was trying to learn the names of the birds here and there, what we would
Mm.
see. And then the following year, I tried to go to a national park at least once a year. Ever since then, I've fallen in love with Indian wildlife, the jungle, not just animals, but even plants, trees. And I may not know too much about them, but I do really love and appreciate them. And after my school, I did take a little time off and I worked, I interned, volunteered, worked in Pinjore at the BNHS Vulture Breeding Center, in
Okay.
Kanha with the Kanha and Satpura with the Corbett Foundation, and in Agumbe, and where we did the Malabar Pitwapit telemetry project.
Okay. This was at KCR, is it?
KCRE, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Nice. Nice. And you
So,
you you did your schooling everything in Mumbai?
yes, in Mumbai. In Mumbai.
Entirely. That's very rare actually that somebody sees a tiger on their first sighting and still ends up falling in love with the other things in the wild. Because it's usually the
True,
ones that are waiting for their first tiger sighting for years together that you have no other option but to start appreciating the smaller things in wildlife.
true, true,
You start looking at the birds, learning the bird names, you learn
true.
about the trees. But that's where I think somebody who's got the highest high on their first safari rarely ever appreciates the other things in the wild.
No, but the tiger undoubtedly remains my favorite animal. People will call
Correct.
it cliche, I call
Fair.
it classic.
Fair. Yeah.
But along with tigers, I do appreciate a lot of the other animals, birds also. And I got into reptiles also a few years back, and herping
Okay.
is very addictive.
Yeah. No, we all have
So
it. We
yeah,
all have it within ourselves that the tiger is
true.
the classic, but I
Hmm.
don't think we say it out enough. Our role is to sort of bring enough limelight on the other aspects of nature, the other
Absolutely.
species, correct? So I don't think we say this out enough.
True, true. Even like right now, I'm in Kanha, and
Yeah,
whoever I'm bringing on safari, taking on safari, before I always ask them, other than the tiger, what are other things you would like to see? So
exactly.
some people say Barasingha, some people say vultures. I get very happy because I love
Mm,
vultures.
mm,
And then there are obviously these rarer ones to find, like a sloth bear and leopard. I said we'll
mm.
try, but let's see. Nothing in the wild is guaranteed. If you want guaranteed
Exactly.
sightings, go to a zoo. But
Exactly.
that's
So
the
tell us
fun of
about
it.
your life right now. You told me that you're working as a
Hmm.
naturalist in at Sherbag, if I'm not wrong, in Kanha.
Shergar,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Sherghar.
right
Yeah.
now, I'm interning as a naturalist here at Shergar for the winter.
Okay.
It's part of my placement also for university, but the placement part
Okay.
is only 2 weeks. But since I got this opportunity, I said I'll stay here for the whole winter. So yes, it's a lovely, beautiful area. It's in the southern part of Kanha in the Mukki
Okay.
region. One thing I love about the property is that it was once a eucalyptus plantation, but the people who
Hmm.
bought it, they converted it into, they cut down most of the eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is invasive,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they cut down most of the trees. They planted more native trees. They let the land regenerate again. And ever since then, there's just been so much more wildlife. The native biodiversity, the native flora has taken over. I mean, we have a nala also that flows, it snakes
Hmm.
its way through the camp.
Okay.
And we even get otters also over here.
Really?
So,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
And occasionally you will have a tiger also walking outside, or you may see the pug mark outside of camp. And
Hmm.
yeah, one of
Okay.
my targets is to make a whole biodiversity compilation
Hmm.
list. And
Hmm.
there are over 160 recorded species on the property. Vultures,
Okay.
eagles, flycatchers, everything. As we
Right.
speak, there's a black-naped monarch flying in between the vines over there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really lovely. Then of course there's safaris and nature trails. Whichever guests
Right.
come, some I take, some I help at camp and whatnot. So yeah, it's really nice.
Okay.
Really
Okay.
enjoying it.
Have you all set
If
up
could be
camera traps
more.
around the property?
Yes, yes, right here.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
All
We
okay?
have dogs also, as you could
Ah,
clearly
okay.
hear. They don't attack wildlife. They're here as companions, but they help chase out cattle and sometimes
Okay.
warn us if there's any intruders. But
Okay.
they just mistook one of the staff. Yes, we do have camera traps. Here with me, I have two camera traps that I
Oh,
use.
nice. Okay. Okay.
We deploy them at different locations. So one camera trap goes near the Nala, which I'm hoping to get the otters this season. Then there's
Okay.
one behind my room. The one behind my room has been really productive because
Mm.
it's at the edge of the property, so near the fields. And then there's obviously this little forest patch we have, and I've managed to get wild boar, jackal, fox, and even civet pass by.
Oh,
So it's
nice.
been really
Okay.
lovely.
Okay. No, no leopards or tigers yet.
If we have leopards, then it is something to be a bit cautious about because of the dogs. But tiger, we've seen around the property, and
Right.
a long time back there have
Okay.
been a few sightings
Okay.
also. But fingers crossed, hoping. Let's see.
Great. Right. Leopard sightings, I'm assuming, are very rare, even on your safaris.
Yeah, naturally leopards are
Yeah.
difficult to see
Correct.
because we're in a
Tiger.
good tiger reserve with a
Good
high
tiger.
tiger
Yeah.
density. There are
Correct.
leopards. There's a very good leopard population,
Correct.
but they're very rare to see. Most of the
It's just
times you'd see
sightings
them
are
as
rare.
just running across the road. Yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
at Shergar here, we don't really have leopard sightings. I mean, in the forest nearby, Shergar is barely 2 kilometers away
Okay.
from the Bamni Nature Trail. There are sightings sometimes on the Bamni Nature Trail, but
Okay.
not in the property because also there are a few, like just one, two fields that separate
Mm,
Shergar
mm,
from the
mm, mm,
national park. So
mm.
those fields kind of act like a buffer,
Buffer.
but there are animals that move in
Right.
and out.
Because
So
generally that shouldn't be enough of a barrier for leopards, right? So I'm sure at least for
yeah,
tigers
yeah.
that's a little bit of a barrier, but for leopards they're
Hmm,
anyways going to move
hmm.
through these fields and enter and pick up a dog or some
Definitely.
livestock once in a while, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. There are, I mean, yeah, Kanha does have quite a bit of livestock predation around in
Mm,
the buffer zones and outside. All of
correct.
those are compensated by the forest department. So during my time off after school, I was interning with the Corbett Foundation. This is lovely foundation set up in central India and other parts of India to help conserve wildlife along with helping local communities. So one of the projects was called the IRS, Interim Relief Scheme. So along with the main compensation, there's an initial 2,000 rupees that was given to them.
Okay.
As compensation may take around, the full compensation may take a month. So that 2,000 rupees was given in a week just to, show and tell, as an
Okay.
act and a gesture where, you'll get the money, just a little bit of
Correct.
a sign of trust to help subdue their emotions, because
Correct.
a lot of people say emotions don't matter in conservation, but they do.
Of course.
Because I mean, cattle and are the livelihoods for people and local communities living around. And if a tiger kills one of them, it's not just killing one cow; it's their livelihood entirely.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that 2,000 rupees is kind of like a symbol of promise and understanding. So it helped them. So yeah, a lot of the cases would be around the villages. So outside the park, in the buffer zone, and then 100 meters into core is the region where cattle kills. So cow, buffalo, bull are all compensated for tiger, leopard, wild dog. Wild dog,
Okay.
very rare. Most of the times it's just tiger and leopard. So yeah,
Okay.
100 meters into the core is the main buffer, is the last buffer region, because sometimes a tiger may kill in the core buffer and then drag it into the core. But
Ah, right.
otherwise, if a kill has been in the core zone more than 100 meters, it's not allowed because
Got it.
cattle are not allowed.
Correct,
in the
exactly.
core.
Do you hear
So
of conflict often, or is it very rare these days?
conflict as in with
As in
people
with
or cattle
uh,
or
cattle, whether you have a tiger coming out and picking up livestock or something like that.
it does happen. Yeah, yeah, it does happen in
Mm.
Kanha.
But here and there, right?
Sometimes even the villages around. Yeah, it happens here and there. Tigers in the buffer zones tend to have mixed diet, wild
Mm,
prey, but also domestic
mm, mm,
prey.
mm.
And yeah, so there are quite a few cases that
Okay,
happen every now and then, all around the park in the buffer zone, especially in and out of the buffer zone.
right.
But in terms of human attacks, not a lot. Kanha that way is a well managed park and
Exactly.
a tiger reserve, the best
Yeah,
in India.
correct.
Other parks like Bandhavgarh have a much more higher rates of conflict, not just with tigers, even now with elephants, actually,
Right.
because from Odisha, the whole thing where they came.
Correct.
So yeah, but Kanha is relatively well. It's quite well managed, I would say.
And it's nice to
So
know
yeah,
that that a sort of initiative where they're compensating, and it's nice to know from you that it's actually being followed through with. Because you hear these
it is.
schemes,
It
but
is.
very rarely are these
Mhm. True.
schemes followed through with.
IRS, so yeah, IRS was one thing. I believe it stopped, but because of certain funding issues, the regular compensation given to farmers and whatnot still takes place. It happens all the time. So essentially, when an animal has brought down a cow or bull buffalo, whatever it is, camera traps are put up at the site, so it records the tiger, leopard, wild dog. If only if these three predators come, then they're compensated. Otherwise, if it's just jackal or something, then
Mm,
not really, because no
mm,
jackal could take down a bull.
mm.
So once there's photographic evidence that a large carnivore has killed this animal, then the farmer has to show proof of
Okay.
ownership of that certain cattle and of that animal.
Okay.
Then obviously there's a little documentation that's required, but then eventually by around a month, the compensation is sent directly into the bank account.
Right.
They don't
Okay.
give cash typically because that could
Right.
be used for other miscellaneous purchases. So
Mm.
directly into their account, they take all the details and everything.
That's very nice. That's very nice.
So,
I actually wanted to cover this topic a little later, but since we're talking about Madhya Pradesh as a
hmm.
state in terms of wildlife conservation, you often hear about the things that the state is doing with the overpass that cut through the forest,
Hmm.
where you had an arrangement that was the intention of coexistence, where you have a road passing through, but also without affecting the wildlife. That with the overpass. Now,
True.
I recently read about the red markings that they have on the road now,
Yeah,
which helps slow down vehicles on the road, which is again such an innovative approach to it. So what are your
very
thoughts
true.
on Madhya Pradesh as a state? Because you've seen a lot of tiger reserves and national parks throughout the country, and what do you
Not
think
a
about?
lot.
Yeah.
So I've been to a few of the main ones, but yeah, Madhya Pradesh is doing really well in terms of conservation. Obviously, there are some areas that are better than the others. Like for example, Bandhavgarh, there are still very high rates of conflict, and then
Okay.
it should. I mean, there is issues also, poisoning, poaching. Poaching is something that happens all over India. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
it
Mm.
can't be stopped until the demand stops. But Madhya Pradesh is taking a lot of initiatives. The Nagpur Pench corridor, the
Correct.
overpass, I had done the Pench bird survey, the second
Okay.
Pench winter bird survey. And I was actually assigned near sorry, the Indian paradise flycatcher.
Male.
Yeah, Rufus Moth, little longer
Okay.
tail he has.
Yeah.
Not a full adult with a full long tail, just a little
Okay.
shorter, but still growing it, so we can tell.
Okay.
He's our resident who comes here. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, that's the issue.
That's
Speaking
the
in a
issue with
jungle
all
or
of
a
us.
jungle. Mhm. He's sitting so beautifully. Always when you don't have your camera or you're busy, the best moments happen. Anyway,
Exactly. Yeah.
um, so during the second winter bird survey in Pench, Maharashtra, um, I was assigned near the highway area. So from the highway, we would walk into the forest and everything. And I think it was Chorbauli, not too certain. I don't remember. I'll have to check again. But on the last day, we actually walked under the overpass and we
Okay.
got to see the whole how it was the structure and everything, how it was made. And there's not too much of noise also if you, when you walk below,
Mm.
and the area around is just littered with pug marks, hooves of deer, then obviously there's tiger, leopard also, and just in the nalas next to them, like Pench has a lot of wildlife. On every nala that we use to traverse through the park to cover ground and do our bird surveys, I mean, we saw dhole, sloth bear, leopard, tiger, all the pug marks and the signs left all over. And yeah, animals do regularly use that underpass, which is so yeah, that is extremely helpful for wildlife. And more than just mammals, we don't even know how helpful it is for snakes, reptiles, and even birds also, if you think about it.
Exactly.
I mean, one tiger will be hit, one a leopard or a tiger would be hit. There are some documentation, some notes about
Mm.
it, but think
Mm.
of all the snakes that get run
Think of all.
over,
Yeah.
of all the birds also that get hit. And it's not just, the small birds, even large birds of prey too. So yeah.
Yeah. Because people are always asking about the efficacy of these overpasses or underpasses and whether animals usually
Mm.
even use them. But yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
the fact is they do, right? These
They do, they do.
these.
And yeah, they do. They genuinely do. And there's a lot of camera trapping that's also done. And tigers with cubs also are seen here and
Oh,
there
really? Okay.
walking,
Huh.
using.
So it
Yeah,
is being
it's very
used by
lovely.
wildlife. So that's reassuring that it works,
Definitely.
right? These.
It does. It's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not the entire highway can
Hmm.
be built as
Exactly. I
as
mean,
an
there's always a
underpass.
balance, right?
Hmm.
It has to be reasonable
Yeah.
to a large
True.
extent, at
But
least.
the areas near the overpass are barricaded where, it kind of directs wildlife further ahead to use that
Right.
underpass.
Right.
That's one
Right.
good thing I saw.
Exactly.
It's really lovely and
Yeah.
a fantastic thing that the central India has done. So
Correct.
yeah.
I visited Kanha in 2024 during the summer, and ever since I've
Okay.
come back, I everybody that asks me about what needs to be done, I always cite Madhya Pradesh as the example, and in terms of how they've gone about mitigating human animal conflict. And we
True.
actually have an overpass close to Bangalore.
Oh, really?
There's a forest called Bannerghatta. I'm sure you might have heard,
Oh,
just
of
on the
course, of
outskirts of
course.
Karnataka. So that's on the Kanakpura road, and we had a lot of roadkills on that highway. There's this
Hmm.
Kanakpura highway where we record a lot of
Hmm.
roadkills, leopards, sometimes elephants, and very often we have
Wow.
leopards being hit or run over on that road. So we had this overpass that was built about 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and people always question whether this, even works. But
Was it
recently,
efficient?
from yeah, from I mean, we don't have official confirmation yet, but from some of my sources, I heard that elephants have started using the overpass. So that's great news. It's a very small
Hmm.
overpass. It's just one overpass, unlike how in Madhya Pradesh you have long stretches of. So
True,
here the
true.
overpass is for the wildlife, unlike
Hmm.
in Madhya Pradesh where the overpass is for the vehicles and the animals
So
use
true. Underpass, yeah.
underpass for the movement. But yeah, it's good to know that these things work, right? And there's a balance that we can achieve if the intentions are in the right place.
Very true. Even in North America, there are quite a few overpasses for animals, and I've seen footage
Correct,
of mountain lion, bobcat,
correct,
grizzly bear, moose. So many animals use that too, and
correct.
traffic is just going by. They have no idea what's happening up
Exactly.
over. But yeah,
I,
it's definitely really helpful.
and like you said, I also had gone up. I'd gone
Hmm.
on top of the overpass, and you can't hear anything.
Huh.
You can't hear the vehicles that
Yeah,
pass through
yeah.
underneath. It's absolutely
True,
peaceful on top. So I think it's something
true.
that works. That really works, right?
Very true.
Kian, I also wanted to ask you about your
Hmm.
life right now in terms of like what your day
Hmm.
looks like as a naturalist. You
Hmm.
have guests visiting a lot. I'm sure you have
Hmm.
a lot of foreign visitors because it's Christmas time. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about what your day looks like now.
Sure. So if I have a safari or nature trail, I wake up well around 5:30, and and then obviously I take the safari and I go and I help people on nature trails. Otherwise, if there's no safari or nature trail, I would be at camp, but around 7:30 I wake up, 8 o'clock reporting, help guest interactions, just a few basic things around camp, also helping with the chores, management, logistics, and a few other things. And of course, there are a few personal projects I've undertaken, like the camera trapping, others lantana removal. So
Mm.
unfortunately, I mean, you and I both know how horrible that so-called beautiful plant is,
Yeah.
scourge of the Indian subcontinent. But yeah, lantern is a huge issue. Central India,
Mm.
Southern India, Northern India, it's not
Yeah.
spared
We were.
anything. And yeah, so that's another thing. And of course, there are a few other things documenting the diversity here and
Mm.
whatnot. So it's quite nice. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So do you get to go into the park, say 5, 6 times a week, or is it more than that? Or
It depends. Some if there are guests, and sometimes
okay.
I get assigned, but otherwise, if I have my own guests or my own groups, then I go for all of them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
right now it's a little quiet. It's the calm before the storm because then Christmas is coming and we have a lot
Right.
more guests back to back. But
Right.
just barely over a week ago,
Right.
I did 9 back-to-back safaris and a nature trail. And it may
Right.
be tiring, you may be sleep deprived, but it's always that feeling
It's
like,
always
oh, can
worth
we
it.
go to the park one more time also?
Yeah.
It's always worth it. And today, especially, I really wanted to go to the park because this one tigress called MV3, she was seen
Okay.
with her two very small cubs for the
Oh,
first time.
really?
It was
Oh,
really
really?
very sweet, very sweet. We've
Mm.
spent the whole of October, November, and October and November waiting, hoping that she'll bring her cubs out. The mahouts and the forest department have only seen the cubs. We have no
Okay.
tourist has seen the cubs.
Okay.
Then today, they got to see her crossing the road. She came out first, then she looked back, and then her two cubs came running out, and they were so small. They're just so sweet. They were barely, I wouldn't even, maybe not even a month old or something
Oh,
like
really?
that.
That young?
Yeah, they're small enough that their teeth also probably haven't developed
Uh,
or formed
uh,
in yet. They're very, very sweet. So yeah,
that's rare
and of course, I mean, but yeah,
that she brings them out when they're that young, no?
true, true. Very, it's quite rare. But she's a bold tigress, and
Okay.
everyone now has high hopes.
Okay. The
So,
first safari that I went on when I was in Kanha, we got to
hmm.
see Neelam. Is there a tigress called Neelam?
Ha
Was
ha
there?
ha, yeah.
She's still around
In the Kanha zone, yes.
in the Kanha zone.
Unfortunately, she hasn't been seen in a while.
Okay.
So, Neelam, yeah, Queen of the Meadows is what she used to
Right,
be
exactly.
called.
And we saw her
Yeah.
at the meadows
Huh.
where she had three cubs and she was settled like
Yeah.
far away, but I mean all the jeeps had lined
Oh.
up and were getting pictures of her. And like you had
Hmm.
you had the three cubs playing around her,
Oh, how
and I think it
lovely.
was around 5:30 in the evening. So we got to spend
Hmm.
some half an hour, 45
Yeah.
minutes before the safari
Hmm.
end time.
Oh,
And
superb.
it was beautiful. And but she was also there for a couple, I think the next day she was still there because some
Hmm.
of the jeeps that went in before us said they saw her and she had settled down
Hmm.
in the nala right next
Hmm.
to the road. And we were sure that the cubs are around because they were so young. So she was surely
True.
she surely kept them there.
Hmm.
But they later said, I think people who stayed throughout the day, I think during the afternoon, said she moved away alone.
Hmm.
Probably she's gone to
That's
hunt.
true.
So the cubs
Hmm.
must be around, but we waited for a while and we actually saw crows flying around in
Ah,
the
okay.
patch of the forest where
Ha ha
everybody
ha.
claimed the cubs were. So we assume there must have been a kill, and she's brought in the kill.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. You ask any true tiger lover, they will tell you crows and vultures are their favorite birds for this
exactly,
very reason.
exactly.
But oh, that's such a wonderful sighting.
Yeah.
I never, unfortunately, I didn't see Neelam, but I did see her three cubs, quite small.
Okay.
And at
Oh,
the time
that's
I had gone,
her next litter, I guess. Then this must be an. Oh, you're talking
I
about
saw
years ago.
the cubs. Yeah, in 2023. So the cubs are
Ah,
still
right.
small. You must have seen them a little more grown up. But
Correct.
at that
Yeah.
time, she was pressured by another tigress called Mohini,
Okay.
daughter of another very well-known female in the Kanha zone called Naina. Mohini had fought with Neelam and tore her cheek open, so her skin actually was falling off. And the
Okay.
Kanha Forest Department tranquilized her. The first time they tranquilized her, full on-site treatment. They stitched her up. She got up and she went towards her cubs. But then the stitches came out, so the wound was seen
Mm,
again.
mm,
So the second time they went to stitch her, I was there and I remember the forest department had blocked off the road. The mahout came. Everyone was waiting. The cubs were on one side. The forest department was in between. And everyone was looking in the forest because she was that little salt patch because they were waiting for her to come out from there. They'd tranquilize her and stitch her up. So,
Okay.
yeah, she was a really beautiful tigress. I mean,
She
from whatever
was.
I've seen of was
She
everyone
was.
used to go to the quintessential Kanha shot that a lot of photographers want of the tiger in the grassland was from Neelam, obviously,
Okay. Yeah.
because she had the whole
Right.
meadows in her territory.
Right.
But Mohini then forced her, like she pressured Neelam quite a bit, fought with her, and then after I think Neelam's cubs grew up, she left on her own. She
Mm.
went towards the Surrey zone, and the Mahouts tried to help her back, but she, some say the
Mm.
Mahouts tried to help her back, but she left the park entirely. Actually, she went out of Surrey Gate, and now some locals say that they've seen her here and there, but there's no proper
Right.
update, so we can't say.
Right.
And anyway, she was an old tigress,
She
but
was.
yeah, yeah, very beautiful though. Yeah, that's
Nice.
lovely.
Yeah.